few more people here, but there's just me. So that's how it is. I don't really need this to be on the start. So the project I'm going to talk about is something that we're calling the Arduinome at U of A. And it involves this thing, kind of. Does anybody, who doesn't know what a monome is? Okay. A monome is essentially this. It's a sort of commercially produced software controller that communicates via serial, and it's buttons with LEDs that you plug into your computer, and it has no functionality whatsoever in and of itself. You have to program it with stuff like Max MSP. And you can like make step sequencers, or make these act like sliders, or play it like a piano that's funny shaped, or you can pretty much do whatever you program it to do. But they're produced in really limited numbers, and they're about $500. So there's things called Arduinomes that there's instructions to make, which is basically a mono, but you made it yourself using an Arduino, which you can see in there. So we did that for a class last year, which is sort of still going on. And the parts for the Arduino fundamentally is an Arduino, this shield that allows you to have more connections, and then this other sort of circuit board that lets you turn the ribbon cables into all the little tiny cables, these button circuit boards, and then the button pads, all of which are either off the shelf or available online, produced. And there's pretty good tutorials online for how to make it, and it costs a couple $100. The thing that there's not so much of is a unified outlook on case design. The Arduino and all the software and stuff is pretty open source and pretty easy to get, but making a case is not super easy for something like this, where it's got all these button things. So this was 3/4 of our first attempt, where we wanted you to be able to get at the innards, so you could add stuff, mess around with stuff, like what Dan wanted to do, change things. And so it had these other 3 things with like a frame, which I don't have because it fell apart. So clearly the design was awesome. MDF also looks like cardboard, which isn't really the best. So I might have lost track of the point. So the point of what we're trying to do basically is take this Arduino, which is a thing that exists, that's open source for the software, open source for the hardware. You can make it yourself. You can do almost whatever you want with it, and figure out some kind of a case that almost anybody can use, or that can make, put together, use, and then once they put it together, they can take it apart and add stuff to it. So this was the first attempt, and it kind of worked. And we're now working on the second attempt, which looks like this. I guess maybe the lights for just a second?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do full screen because it's sweet. This, which turns into this kind of. So the idea is to take this design and put these teeth on the edge, so everything sticks together without necessarily needing screws, which allows you to do stuff like make a bank of potentiometers and just mash them together. And the cross-shaped holes on the side are the width of this acrylic that it's being rendered as. So you can take pieces of acrylic and make them into handles or make them into stuff and stick things together, like that. And funny story, well, not really a funny story, I have one now that we made today.
Oh, no way. Oh, cool.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So it's got, the Arduino is stuck to the bottom, and it's got standoffs along the sides, and the teeth actually just stick together, and then you put screws on the top of the standoffs to keep the top on, and then it's got a secondary top to cover some of the screws because there's more screws holding it all together. So this is our current working prototype, which I wonder if I could take it apart. Sure can. Okay, let's try. Yeah, it just comes off like that. So I'm not going to take it all the way apart because it's kind of stuck together. which is kind of the end of my presentation, except for how I made this. I made this here on campus, and anybody can do this on campus. In BioSci, there's a laser cutter that, as long as you don't want to like do monthly contract work, they're totally cool if you arrange time. I've got a couple of brochures with email addresses. And it costs, the way that it works is you provide the material. So this is acrylic. They can do metal, wood, different types of plastic, stuff like anodized aluminum and glass you can engrave on, but you can't cut. And it's in BioSci, and it costs $2.50 a minute. You can do vector or raster graphics. $2.50 a minute is about $1 less than what seems to be the going rate. And you basically just need to email and have design, and they'll cut it for you. We got this cut, and yep.
Do you have to be a student or
No,
affiliated
you do not.
with the university?
No, you don't at all. Which is why I'm presenting it to everyone. You just have to make arrangements in advance. If you are not a student or anything, then or through faculty, then everything is pure profit if you bring your own materials. So they win for the department, and you win because it's cheaper. So you guys can make designs and then have cases. And it's thought you might like that. It's really an amazing machine because it cuts and finishes the edges all in one step. So you get these really, really nice edges on this thing, which I'll pass both of them around. So this one I brought largely so you can see the innards and so that you can see what we're not doing anymore. And this is our current design. So yeah, so the point of this is that these sides can come off, and so if you've got two of these, you can take the two of the sides off and mash them together, and then you've got a double-sized monome, or you can add pots, or you can add sliders, or whatever you like. I'll pass that around too. It'd be probably good if that one didn't get dropped. The other one too. Yep.
So there's no setup fees? How much did that thing end up costing to get made?
$40. Not including materials. So $40 was the time to get it made. But a sheet of acrylic I don't think is that expensive. If you don't have files done, like Illustrator files or whatever, it's expensive to get it designed. But Jeff, the guy that does it, is pretty good about telling you if your files are stupid or if there's things wrong with them before he just cuts and makes you pay for it. So he's a really cool guy and really, really, really knowledgeable.
So did you guys use AutoCAD or did you just use Illustrator to?
It was just an Illustrator file. I'm not exactly sure how Glenn did it. But as I said, it can cut raster or vector, so it can actually etch images, but it takes longer to do raster, so it's more expensive. So yeah, that was my big news, really. Everyone can do that. I think that's... on the software end, I guess I should talk about that. The sort of software point of that is exploring tactility. That's the academic aspect of it. So we're looking at trying to design games that you can play on it, and just looking at the relationship between the tactile and the visual, because that thing lights up and has buttons to press, which is pretty awesome in and of itself.
Yeah.
I was gonna hook it up and show stuff off, but I don't really have anything cool to show off with me, so maybe I won't.
There's YouTube videos of people
Oh yeah, that's true.
playing with stuff.
Yeah, let's watch one of those ones of the guy with the ridiculously huge mono we watched.
Yeah.
Should find the one with the rooster.
That was a photo. But
Was it?
yeah. I know. Sad.
That would have been
Maybe I should plug into this so that we can hear it.
Yeah, turn the volume down on the mixer first so you don't...
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No.
I mean, you
Turn it up. Let's find out what happens.
Yeah. I love that noise. It's my favorite. Am I muted? No.
That's what our music's based on.
Oh yeah.
Was it the power sound?
That's just the computer from the unshielded sound card.
Can you... Oh, you can't try to plug in the power cable?
Yeah.
Oh. I love how they put noisy stuff right next to my inputs on all my computers.
I had the same problem. No, I don't.
Because you have a Mac.
No comment.
I guess I should make that bigger. no idea what he's doing interface-wise. I'm just gonna skip into the video a bit. Oh, so it sounds exactly the same. That's a rooster on a mono.
Damn. I missed that completely.
Now you know.
Is that how they make the bird wins machines or tic-tac-toe?
Maybe. So, yep, that's all, I guess. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything? Awesome. Okay, sounds good. We have time for questions.
So then, do these guys will also work with wood or just acrylic metal and such?
Yeah, wood is fine. I think some stuff depends on the thickness. When you're working with wood, the edges of it get kind of charred, like you know those like engraving burning things that you maybe had as a kid for like engraving stuff on wood. That color brown, you get that brown on the edges of whatever you're making, which actually looks pretty cool. Did I hand those pamphlets around? Yeah, there's pictures on there of wooden cogs. Some of them are about the size of a dime. and yeah, and it cuts really clean lines, which is cool. Because the first one, wherever it got to, was cut on a CNC machine, and it can't really do really hard edges, but the laser cutter can. Okay, done.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for coming, and I will add all of these names to our mailing list and let you know when the next meeting is. Tell your friends, and don't be shy about presenting something. It doesn't have to be, I mean, if you made a new computer, bring it, great. If you got a toy at a thrift store and hacked into it and did some circuit bending and it sounds cool, bring it. It doesn't matter how deep your use of the technology is. The idea is that we all learn something and see what you're up to. So thanks again, and I think for those who want to stick around, some of us are going to go across the street to get beer and go home and fall into bed. So, all right, thanks.